Hi, this is Justin from Seraform. What I'd love to talk to you about today is Microsoft Entra. Microsoft Entra is a multi-cloud identity and access management suite of products. And what these products allow us to do is manage and control our identities and the access that these identities have to our resources, not just within Azure, but within Google Cloud and AWS as well. It allows us to issue universally verifiable IDs while enforcing least privileged access and performing regular auditing throughout. It ultimately allows us to govern our identities of not just our users, but the identities that our applications and services are using in our cloud environments as well, all from within a single location. This is Microsoft Entra. Now today I'd love to show you one of these products we call Permissions Management. Now Permissions Management is a cloud infrastructure entitlement management product, which is a next generation product for enforcing least privileged in the cloud. For example, a lot of us are concerned about the excessive permissions that our users, admins, and applications have while operating in our cloud environments. This is a valid concern and it puts us at risk. What permissions management does for us is it detects, automatically right sizes, and continuously monitors for unused and excessive permissions throughout our cloud environments. Let's take a look. Now you can see I'm logged into my Entra admin center at entra.microsoft.com, where I can manage all the products. Now I'm going to log into Permissions Management using my Seraform demo account. I have some interesting data to show you. Now what's going to happen is it's going to load us straight to the dashboard, and on the dashboard we see this Permission Creep Index or PCI score. Now this is a PCI score in this case for my Azure demo subscription. Now this could be my Google Cloud or AWS environment as well. And the score is based on the number of identities that have access to high risk actions or tasks, as well as the number of resources they have access to. So we're going to go ahead and drill into this number 7 and see what's going on. We can see that it's made up of 6 users plus 1 application. That application could be a managed identity, for example. Down further below, under identity, we see a little more details. What we want to focus in on today are these 3 over-provisioned active users. We want to figure out what's going on here and how we can use this information to enforce least privilege. So we're going to go ahead and drill into that subscription and see what these 3 users are all about. It's going to take us to the Reports tab, where we see a ton of great info, including our 3 over-provisioned active users. We can see that in this case, this user has 5 permissions they use with over 13,000 available. That's contributing to a score of 82 on the PCI index, which is, very risky. We got to do something about that. So when we drill into the user, we can see that they're a member of the contributor role. That's what's giving them all that access on that specific subscription. They're not a member of any Azure AD groups. On the Tasks tab here, what we see are all of the tasks or actions that are available to this user through the permissions that they have. And so on the left, what we see are the unused permissions for this user. These are just permissions they're not using. And on the right, they're using 5. Right? This user is well over provisioned. On the Activity tab, I can take a closer look at all of the activities that they've taken and on to which resources they've taken those actions. Over on the Resources tab, I can see all of the resources that they have access to, as well as the tasks, and specifically the high-risk tasks for the resources. And lastly, on the Permissions tab, again, I can see that they're a member of the contributor role. So back over to the Task tab, we've got to do something about this overprivileged access. It's excessive, and it's putting us at risk. So we're going to head over to the Remediation tab, where we can take action. Now, what we want to do is create a new role for this user and all of our other SOC analysts to be a member of. They don't need to be contributors. So let's go ahead and create a role. Now, this gets interesting. We can create a role based on the activity of our users, our groups, our apps, and so on from within the past 90 days. So let's go and say, let's create a role based on the actions that SOC analyst has taken in the past 90 days. All right, so we'll go next. And you can see here all of the available tasks, but we don't need all of those. It's pre-selected the tasks or actions based on SOC analyst's 2 activity over the past 90 days, which is great. Let's create a name for it. SFD SOC analysts. Perfect. Now if I scroll down, yep, you can see actually that this role is going to be scoped to my subscription. Perfect. We'll go next, and you can see a summary of that. That looks good. Now, one thing we notice is that it did prefix my role name to indicate that it came from Entra, which is fine. We'll go ahead and submit that change. Now, it's going to go ahead and create this role, and it's creating it within Azure. So we should find this role amongst all of the other roles that we would normally find within our Azure subscription. Let's take a look at what that looks like from within Entra. So if I go and let's just change our filter to all role types. Now we see all of the subscription roles. These are the same roles we would find in Azure. Let's search SOC Analyst. Perfect. That's our new custom role. If we expand that, we can see all of the tasks that this role provides, as well as who has direct access to it. Right now it's empty, so we want to go ahead and add them. But before we do that, let me show you what that role looks like from the Azure portal. Again, if I search through the roles on this subscription, I should be able to find this same role that we just created, and there it is. Now, how easy was that? I didn't need to go into the Azure portal and find my subscription and select all the actions. I just did it with a few clicks from within the same Entra portal. So let's go ahead to the Permissions tab, and let's add this user to that new role. So we're going to go ahead and find our user SOC Analyst 2. And on the far right, you can see all of the actions I can take. I can add and remove users to the role, add and remove tasks. What I want to do is add SOC Analyst 2 to our new custom role. So we're going to search for that role, and we find it there. Let's add that. Great. Now I could add them to additional roles, but that's not necessary. Let's go ahead and execute this change. Perfect. Now while that's running, what I want to do is I want to remove SOC Analyst 2 from the contributors role. That's the role that it's giving them the excessive permissions. We're trying to enforce least privileged here, right? And so let's remove them from contributor and submit that change. Perfect. Now what's going to happen is going to add them to our new custom role and remove them from the contributor role. Again, I'm doing this all from within the Entra portal. I don't have to go to Azure AD. I don't have to go to my subscription to do this. It's all from within the same portal. Now, just to show you what that looks like from the portal to help kind of close the loop on this thought process, if I edit this role, it's going to load all of the actions that were pre-selected based on the SOC Analyst 2 activity, as well as you can see they're now a member of that role. Now, I could go ahead and add more SOC Analysts to this role, but I won't. What I'd love to show you now is a couple bonus items on the Autopilot tab. We can, create autopilot rules to remove unused permissions from our users or applications automatically or on demand. So if they don't use a specific permission that they're granted within, let's say, 90 days, I can have it notify me and it'll send me an email so that I can take action. Over on the Alerts tab, I can actually create other alert types where, in this case, we see an alert where an Azure VM was deleted. This is a high-risk task on a specific resource we may want to be aware of. Let's take a look at this alert. If I click on the identity, we can see, oh yes, that was me. I'm guilty. I did delete the VM. That's okay, though. I'm allowed to do that. But it's just amazing that we can create all sorts of alert criteria for, deleting virtual machines, for example. If I show you, how these alert triggers work, the things that generated the alert, we can create new ones for Azure, Google Cloud, AWS. In this case, I'll say my demo subscription, and I can create criteria based on anything I like. So I could say if any user, deletes performs a specific task on a specific resource type, like deleting a Logic App workflow, generate an alert. Again, these are actions that our users are allowed to take, but there are these high-risk tasks that maybe we want to be more aware of, and we can proactively do that using alerting. Over on the rule-based anomaly tab, we can see some interesting alert triggers that we can create, such as here I've created one, Azure task performed for the first time in 30 days. So our users may have access to perform these tasks, but why are they performing them so seldomly? Maybe there's a better approach to this, like using privileged identity management, PIM for example, instead of just giving them the access 24/7. Over on the statistical anomaly alert tab, you can see I have a trigger here to alert me when unusually high number of Azure tasks are performed. This is fascinating, right? Like, why are so many high-risk tasks happening for this user in Azure or AWS GCP, or performing a high number of tasks in an unusual time? Very fascinating. Permissions analytics tab, we can see over-provisioned active users in Azure. right? I had to come to the Azure portal to see that I had 3 over-provisioned users. I could just generate an alert here that's going to tell me that so I could be more proactive in enforcing my least privileged access throughout my environments. Hey, so that's it for today on permissions management, but there's a whole lot more to check out in the portal, and I encourage you to do so yourself at entra.microsoft.com. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love helping with this stuff. And if you have any requests for future demos, leave us a comment below, and don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter to stay tuned on our upcoming demos as well. Until then, take care, stay safe, and have fun.